Welcome traders to our beginner breakout room. Today is Thursday and we will talk about the trade idea from Tim. It is corn and hopefully helpful for all the other students how to follow a process. Okay. Should you guys have any questions, you can ask Tim. I think he had the most of the answers here for you. If not, then I'm here also. Okay, Tim, your turn. Let's go.
Fantastic. So starting with location at our current price level, going left and to the right without skipping candles, I identified a rally, base, rally for a demand zone in this area here at 427 and around 412. That was fairly clear to me. Then what I wanted to do was identify supply as my next area. And whilst the one that looks clearest to me as a decisive candle that was larger with a respectable leg out struck me as being here. This is the first weekly supply area. You could also potentially argue that this was a rally-based drop as well. So interested in your thoughts. And then when I went to do the level on level, I'll just touch on it while I'm on this screen. It was apparent to me that there was another level of supply quite close to the identified area.
Tim, one second, please. It is location, right? Location. We are not working with the rule level on top of level, right? We have not really level on top of level for the location, right?
No worries. Okay, no problem. So so that was my supply zone. This was my demand zone. I used the Fibonacci tool to identify the 33% and 66%. So now I've got an understanding of the price location in respect to supply and demand. So Toby, before I move on to direction, do you have any thoughts or criticisms over the approach I've taken thus far with respect to weekly supply and demand?
Looks really good. It is definitely demand, is absolutely supply. Okay, you moved your proximal line from the supply zone a little bit higher. Why? Yes. What is the reason?
That wasn't intentional. It's just I changed computers today and the screen's a little bit different. So my entry or my zone is at the body of the base candle using the preferred version. And I've used the distal at the high of that particular candle. I just zoom in.
That's not really maybe not. You have to check the proximal line. That's a little bit incorrect. Look, you can zoom in, right? You can zoom into your candles. Then it's helpful. Yes, and now check where's your proximal line. You can also, if you go back to this area, that's very helpful. Come with your mouse, go to this area here, please. Here.
Yes.
And then lower. And then you have, you don't have the floating bar, right? Like you can zoom, there's a nice zoom tool.
Oh, yes. No, I don't have that option. Sorry. Pause, summary, chat, apps, more. Do you want me to make it? I can make it bigger. Let's make it bigger. I've still got more zoom potential.
Yes. Move it a little bit higher here. That's fine.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, so now you will see.
Okay, so my distal is at I've placed it next to the basing candle closest to the leg out of my rally base drops. Sorry, the proximal at the base candle next to the leg out. Now I could widen it to incorporate the next base candle like that.
That's the way how we draw the lines. Okay, if you use a preferred version, that's like this. Yes, perfect.
Yes. So then, look, I'm going to refine the zone anyway. So I'm just trying to get in the area. Okay. That's what you mean, Toby. Is we just incorporate the second base candle? Yes.
Exactly. It's always on the lowest body point, right? From the base. My question here for location, that's fine. We have clear supply, we have clear demand, right? That's absolutely fine. I agree. The question is now, why What's the result of your location? Why you're looking for a short? Where we are with the current price?
So that the current challenge is we are in an equilibrium. Well, actually, we've just dropped out of it. Sorry. Yes, we're in the equilibrium here.
Really,
Let me redraw.
equilibrium.
Hang on. I've thrown myself by zooming out. I go to my demand zone here. Here we go. So I draw the location from the demand distal.
Okay.
Some of this has moved. There we go. So I drew it from distal to distal. That's correct. From
Yes, it is
supply
possible. Yeah.
to demand.
Hmm?
Yep. And then I've indicated this is the 33, 63, and 66%.
Okay, then we have two areas, right? This area,
Yep.
this area, and this area. How we
So
call
this would
this
be
area?
equilibrium.
Yes.
And then this would be cheap or expensive depending if you're looking for a short
In this
or
case,
a long.
is what?
Short, it would be expensive. Long, it would be cheap.
This one is expensive here, always.
Yeah.
Always,
Yeah.
and this is cheap, okay? And it means where we are now.
We're in cheap.
Ha! Not equilibrium, right? And now
Correct. Yes.
the question is, you are in a cheap area,
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking for a short. Why?
I changed my mind. Did you see my updated post?
No, unfortunately not. I was in a
So
couple
in there,
store.
I said, you know what I did? So if I move to the COT, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what threw me. So if I can go cover the fundamentals, the commercials, if I look at the underlying COT reports, so the commercials, who are the most important for our agricultural instruments and our futures, the commercials are an all-time high. So we are actually looking for a long. And if I was to scroll all the way back many, many years, see, I've drawn a horizontal line at our current level on our CO2. We have not touched that line for 5 years, 7 years.
Great. Good job.
Ever. So we're actually looking for a long.
Yeah, that
and
sounds
that's also could. You know what threw me? These colors were the wrong way in the index. So this is the rewiring the brain, because when you're used to looking at oscillators of overbought and oversold, you got to stop for a moment and correct yourself. So we are looking for a long. Why? Because the commercials are accumulating an all-time high. Our price is declining. So we're anticipating the end of a bend. We don't really care about our downward direction. We're looking for a demand zone to take it long.
Okay. Yes, you're right, but you can it is easier if you use location, and location tells you already if you're looking for a buying or opportunity or selling opportunity. The reason is
Okay, before you even look at the
definitely.
fundamentals.
Yes, it is not
Great.
necessary here to check this, okay, which direction I want to buy or sell. It is more like, okay, where we are now, right? Where we are now, and
Yes.
we are definitely cheap, and you can look for a buying opportunity, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Very
great.
helpful, and it means you save a whole lot of steps having a look at the fundamentals for each of the charts. You can just go through the charts, and you could just look at the charts and know from the price
Yes.
what you're looking for. So that's very helpful clarification.
Great.
So we're in a downtrend. So if I go back 6 pivots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my low. There's my high. There's my lower low. There's my lower high. There's my lower low. There's my lower high. So undeniably in a downtrend.
It is
But the
already a new
commercials
lower
being
low?
yes, it broke that low. If I draw the line onto the wick of that candle, yes.
Summary is lower low and also cheap, right? That is a summary of location, right? We definitely, all of this are buying opportunities, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And if you want to trade now, you want to buy, right? In the lower low area, what is it? You want to trade the impulse or correction?
In this case, it would be a correction because we haven't got a confirmed uptrend.
Good job. Yes, perfect. Very, very good.
So we would be anticipating if I get my mouse to work for me, we would anticipate an uptrend, but until we get too high highs, we're actually trading against the trend
No,
until that.
not really. Not really. You can't anticipate an uptrend here now.
Okay.
Okay, that is not really possible. You Because why? What is the reasons why you anticipate an uptrend? You're in a valid downtrend. Okay, you have definitely supply, right, in the lower high areas. First of all,
Yes.
it is of course sometimes, for example, seasonality is very helpful now, right? Could we expect the next 3 or 5 months strengths? Of course, we can talk about it. Maybe we get a trend change, right? But now, right
Yes.
now, for me, for example, for me, it is only a correction trade, okay, within a
Yes.
valid downtrend.
Right. Okay. So we can't call it the end of the bend yet, and therefore that would mean we'd have to be very wary of this high once we're in trade managing the trade, because it
Ex Exactly. Yes,
may
exactly.
reverse at that point.
Yes, perfect. We could get a little bit deeper into this topic. For example, if we're talking about the inverse head and shoulders. You're familiar with inverse head
Hmm.
and shoulders?
Yes, I am. So this could be our left shoulder. This
Right.
could be our neck. This could be our right shoulder.
All
We'd
right.
have our neckline here. That would this is if this was to form a bit deeper, or even actually because it's
It's,
broken that last
yes.
lower low, it's already is the head.
It's perfect. Now we are on, and now we can talk about an uptrend. Should we create here a nice demand area, a high quality demand area, right? With the retest, and then we
Yes.
are creating the right shoulder. Then, and also the seasonality, right, is strong. Then I'm on your side that we could talk about. Okay, maybe we have here the opportunity to trade the uptrend. Okay, fine,
Mm. Yep.
great.
And that's because the CO2 is a setup tool. It's not a timing tool. So that's
Yeah,
why, if I
possibly.
understand correctly, Toby, that it's not telling us that we will definitely have an uptrend. It's just telling us that it's setting up um, uh, for upside potential because of the high level of accumulation. Is that
Yes,
that's correct?
unfortunately, COT is not a timing tool. And for all
Yes.
of you guys, I highly recommend always to back test the indicators. For example, for me, it is very easy. Sometimes you can't trust the seasonality, for example. And what I did is, if I'm close to a nice, exactly, Tim, if I'm close to a nice to identify a nice trade idea, I will always, exactly what Tim did here, I will always add the what is it, the extremes, okay, for the CUT, for the seasonality, and check, okay, it how are the indicators of this specific asset, okay. That is very, very important for me. What I hear, the blue line are the commercials. That is correct.
Yes, correct.
Okay, but it's the same here,
So
right? I
the
would
only
always at this.
Yeah, I tried to match what was in the training in terms of colors, and there might be some slight nuances, but at least in terms of the primary colors, I've tried to match it as closely as I can. I did note also that the retailers were very bullish with our commercial index. The question I had is, when we're talking corn, are the retailers true speculators, or is it more likely that retailers are not going to get involved in corn futures, and therefore it would be smaller commercials, which means we don't worry too much about the retailers in this particular
Ooh,
trade?
that is, we don't have to worry too much. It is informations, right? We have tick in the boxes, right?
Yeah.
For me, to be honest, Tim, I check the most of the time commercials, okay? And then
Hmm.
if I follow the commercial, that is step number one. Step number two, of course, are the non-commercials, right? Oh, see, and these are the non-commercials. I check this also if they're the other side, right? The retailers, the
Yes.
other side. In this case here, for example, I think both are bullish.
Correct.
Yeah. In this
Yeah, they're
case, it
both
is
bullish.
not a 10 of a 10, right? not a 10 of a 10 trade. That's it. That's the only way. I can't say, oh, that's a good trade. That's a bad trade. That's not a 10 of a 10 information, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
Means should everything, if the rest is aligned, then that is maybe that is a breaker. That is not a 10 of a 10 trade, maybe an 8 or 9 of a 10 trade. But it's good to
Yeah.
have to know the information. Really, really good.
Would you consider the retailers in this case more of an odds enhancer rather than a primary or secondary tool, Toby?
Let's finish first our
Analysis?
exactly. Then we have the surrounding, and then we can talk about it. Okay, how important is this really here in this case? Okay, is this information important for that we take the trade or not take the trade, or it is an information that's not really necessary? Okay, because
Yep. No.
I don't want to stop the whole analysis because all the retailers are not aligned.
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
Understand. Just something
good,
to note, I suppose, as part of our overall
great,
trade.
exactly.
So our window of opportunity is going to be in the cheap area.
Mhm.
So if I look at my levels, we're going to be looking at under 449 through to 413 as our area of opportunity on the daily time frame.
Could you open please one more time the weekly and all, because there are a lot of new beginners, and also for you maybe it's not clear. Let me explain you guys. The location is also tradable. Okay. That means, of course, the first step is location, direction, and then zone refinement. I know 1, 2, 3. But what you are doing with zone, why we are refining a zone? What is the reason, Tim? What is the reason to refine a zone? Why we are doing this?
Often the weekly zone is too large of an area in order to achieve a decent profit margin with respect to our risk to reward. So if this was our zone, we would have to generate, or let's say if we went here,
Yeah.
we've got a difference of so many points. That requires us to achieve much more directional change in order to receive a decent profit margin. Whereas refining our zone allows us to, it will affect our probability because we're tightening our entry point, but we are increasing our profitability by doing the zone refinement on the daily level.
Exactly. That's the reason, right? Or the reasons. Perfect. And now the question is, it is necessary to refine this your zone right now?
Well, it may not be because we're only talking 13 points and not having traded corn. But even if I just compare the candles in here or the range of the candles, it may be sufficient to gain an entry on the weekly area, given the way this tends to move, particularly if we compare that to some of our other weekly moves. My layman assessment would be corn has the potential to move that within a week, which is in this trade case, we'd be looking to hold the position for days to weeks.
Mm-hmm. That means you can definitely take the weekly, right? Like this.
Yes. If all the candles were like this size in range and not this up here, hence my point about gapping and so forth,
That's the reason why you have
I would.
demand. That's the reason you have demands, right? That's fine. You're expecting that we come back into your zone with unfilled institutional orders, right? That means
Yes.
what I mean is you all of you guys, it is not necessary to refine a zone. Okay, if you have, for example, on your location, if you have enough profit margin here, that is really nice, right? It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe a 6-1, right? A 6-1, you have a really nice entry, right? The probability to getting filled is high, right? The stop loss is great. It is below the whole area here. Okay, that is, you have a nice profit margin, right? Profit margin is nice. Entry is nice. Stop loss is nice below. If you want to refine the zone, your zone will be definitely smaller, right? Maybe, or yeah, smaller. Maybe you will put lower your entry, then your entry is not the best, but you maybe with the same stop loss, that's fine, and you increase your profit margin. That's important to understand. If you're fine with the location setup, you can also trade this, okay? Not necessary, but yeah, of course, we can do that, right? We can refine if you want.
Great, excellent. So if we went to the daily level now, and just before we do that, we just need to indicate our area of opportunity on our daily chart. So we're prepared to buy somewhere between 449, well, actually 449 and 427
Not
in this
really.
area, but price is currently at 434. So we're looking to buy, really, aren't we, Toby? Just in here.
Only here. Of course,
Yeah, because we're so
everything.
close to it.
Not this, not the reason. This range here, okay? Manual, we'll talk about the stop loss also in a second. Look, this range is cheap, right? And we want to buy in this area, but we will never buy without demand. It's small brother, big brother. It means, yes, you're looking for a buying opportunity in the whole area, but of course, always only with demand. Means if you start to refine the zone, you will check only this area here. Okay, only the 427 to 413, not the whole area from the cheap, the beginning of a cheap.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Yep.
Manuel, what is
Helpful
your
clarification.
great? Manuel, what is your question about the stop loss? Let us know. Let Tim know.
Um, the question actually is if you are putting the stop loss right away in the line or a little bit more above the line.
Do you watched already
Do you want
the
me?
blueprint?
Until module 2.
Okay. We're using a stop loss from how many percentages, Manuel?
The blueprint is 33%.
33.
The grids are 10%.
Here, it is not necessary to work with an stop loss. We are in location, right? The most of the time we will not trade the location, right? That's the reason why we don't work with location. But of course, in the next step, for example, Tim, we can see your emails. It's a recorded session. Be careful, please.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah,
No,
it
that was
is.
the computer doing its. That wasn't me checking my email. That was the computer deciding it was going to charge me. So I do apologize. I'm very happy for anyone who wants to clear out my inbox and respond to all the demands that are in there. You're welcome to come and join me anytime and help me sort it out.
I can stop the recording, Tim, and you can close the emails if you want. I can
Yeah, if you
pause
want
it.
to pause it for a moment, I'll just shut the application down.
One second, I will pause it. Okay, 1 second.
Actually, I'll pause my share. There we go.
Oh, okay. Yes, you can
Sorry.
do that also. Manual, yes. Blueprint rules are always 33%. I highly recommend this also for all the beginners. Look in my grid recording, so my grid levels are only 10%, but of course you don't have to follow, right? Remember on the campus tour, it is understand the strategy, understand the trade setup, make your own analyze, right? That means with another entry or with another stop loss, not 10%, maybe 33%. Okay. Or 20. Nothing is right. Nothing is wrong. Okay. Manual?
Okay. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Do
Great.
you want me to move on to zone refinement? I've resumed sharing now, Toby.
You can where we are. Oh, what
So
is
I'm on
this? Oh, we can.
location currently.
Yes.
We've got our demand zone at 427. We've just clarified we're going to be a buyer. So if we were to refine the zone, we're going to look
Yes.
not in the cheap area, but in the actual the area we've identified as our proximal and distal on the weekly chart. Did you want me to jump in and go through a process of refining on the daily?
If you want, yes. That depends. It's your trade idea, you know. For me, to be
Okay.
honest, I would not refine this. Okay, if I want to
Okay,
trade
good.
one, I would not
Yep.
refine, but it is not wrong. Try.
Okay. We'll go through the exercise. So I'm going to bring up the daily chart.
Yes.
I'm going to enter in a a horizontal line just to help me locate the 427 mark. So 427.
Tim, I recommend don't work with the horizontal lines here.
Okay.
You're looking for a rally-based rally or a drop-based rally formation. That means high quality, right? For me, it is
Yes.
always helpful that I'm not highlight the zone or the range, right? I start from the scratch and double check, okay, where is high quality demand without to check the numbers. Maybe there is nothing,
Okay.
but you have the range in
Yep.
your mind and I have to find something here. Okay.
Yes.
That is.
Okay. That's also helpful clarification.
Oh, really?
Because I've been sort of just to locate where I'm looking at, because demand was back in 2021.
But it's easy, right? For you, if you start to practice, you will see, okay, here,
Yes.
here's nothing, right? Lower, 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 lower. And here maybe also, here's nothing for you, right? Please follow the
Yes.
rules. Also for zone refinement, check a real rally-based rally or a real drop-based rally.
Fantastic. So now let me just state, I'm happy to take an entry on the weekly chart on this corn long trade idea. However, for the purposes of practicing the refinement, let's pretend that we're looking to refine the zone. This daily rally-based rally does not meet the less than 6 candle base rules on observation.
Is also not indecisive or decisive, right? There's a mix of all candles. That's super crazy, yeah.
Yes, yes, and I have to expect that on most of the futures instruments to find the lower time frames are going to be very noisy, we might say. Or is there some of the major ones like gold and silver, etc., are quite tradable on the lower time frames? It's just corn in this example is not suitable candidate for refinement.
So maybe there's a little bit lower, huh? Let's check. Let's follow the process. Maybe there is a little bit.
Okay.
I recommend
Yep.
for you move this a little bit higher here. Then the candles are a little bigger, more and more and more and more and more. More. That's really helpful. Yes. That's
Okay,
helpful.
I'll bring it over here.
Correct. Yeah.
There we go.
Great.
So if I was going to, if I'm looking to the left and down, I'm going to follow the rules precisely. I'm looking to the left for a drop base rally or a rally base rally on this time frame. So this is not suitable. We're moving down and to the left, down and to the left. Potentially here we've got a candidate, which
Can I
is
ask
because
you?
this is
Can I ask you something, please? What is about this
yes.
area here?
Oh yes, we've also got a drop base rally. We're looking carefully as well. So this would be our leg in. This would be our base. That would be our leg out.
And now zone qualifiers. Let's go. Only
Okay.
the zone
Base
qualifier,
candle.
but not matched. What matched? Which zone qualifier not matched here in this case? What is bad?
It's not. Well, this is only a decisive candle.
Nope.
On the leg out. Oh, origin. So yes. Yeah, originality. Yep.
Exactly. Why not? Where's the origin zone?
Because if we draw this in, we're going to have some problems. Not to the right, we're not going to have a freshness problem because we know price hasn't retraced that way. But looking to the left, yes, the issue is going to be originality. So would that mean we keep moving down? We keep looking for our demand zone, then Toby?
Yeah, of course. We can skip this more and more. Where's the high quality demand area here?
Yeah. So here looks to be more high quality in my opinion. Is the leg in, base, leg out. Or we've got a rally, base, rally.
And now some qualifiers for your rally base rally.
Yep. So 3 base candles. Freshness is a problem here.
Yes, that's
so
it.
It's entered into the zone by more than 25%. So we can't use the rally base rally.
Right.
So we keep going, and now we end up with our drop base rally.
Great. That is the process. Perfect. Good job.
Yes. What a messy set of candles. Look at that. That's yeah. My goodness.
Highlight.
So
Highlight.
so we're going to draw. This would say this is our first indecisive candle, I would say. So using our Fibonacci tool,
It
we
is
would draw
not,
our
you're
proximal.
not using the first indecisive candle.
Okay.
On a
I
demand
want to capture
area,
all the base.
no, in the demand area for your proximal line, okay, you're using
Yep.
always the highest point of the body of all the indecisive candles.
Okay.
Okay, you make some mistakes here. Check the lesson again, okay, about the the linings. That's important. That's
Is
important.
it Jan who presents the videos?
Yes, in the classroom, it is it is about proximal and distal line.
Yes.
You'll
So
find it.
yeah. So Jan would say I am on my own personal rule, which is I use the first base candle. So that's why I'm using it, right? So in the videos, that's what he does multiple times. He'll and he does say it's his own personal. So is that maybe something that's different from trading style that we talked about
Yes,
the other week?
yes, yeah.
But
Follow, yes, follow the
technically,
blueprint.
it should be the okay. So technically, it should be the higher the base, all the base candles in our selected event zone.
Yes, that's better. Yes, okay.
Great, fantastic. So I'm going to draw the distal at the lowest wick of those candles. And now, because I've refined the zone, we've checked our zone qualifiers, having gone through that process, we can now determine our stop loss at 33% as per the blueprint below our distal entry. And we would wait for price to come and enter demand. We would set either an alert or a pending order, waiting for price to approach our demand zone over the next couple of weeks. Seasonality. Do you want to talk seasonality?
Yes, but not now. I have a question. You want
Yep.
to share your trade idea, and I have some questions about one more zone qualifier, and I call it
Yes.
departure. What is about the departure?
So departure needs the departure on the refinement is about how far price has moved away from the zone.
Good.
So the way we measure that is our demand zone size, multiplied that by the same distance to determine how much clear space effectively we have before we run into an area. For that reason, I would say that the departure on this zone qualifier is not fantastic.
Why not?
Because of the price action here.
Draw the line for the departure. What's the minimum we have to
1 to 3. So there's our departure, correct?
No, you have to this is a departure, but you have to calculate this right here.
Oh yes, yes.
Right, calculate this with approximate distal line, and then we need the Fibonacci line. Then we can talk about it. Okay, where is it?
Yep. Okay. So if I go from here to here, but I would do that. I want to multiply the reward, don't I? So I'm going to do Fibonacci to this level.
You can also remove it, and you can use this one here, right? You have already a Fibonacci at only the
yes, good idea.
What is 300% like this? Easier for you.
So I would do 233%.
You don't have to calculate you don't have to put into the stop loss. It's only the size from 0 to 100. It is not including the stop loss. That's not necessary. You can remove the 33s.
Oh, okay.
That is
when we're doing departure.
Yes, the stop loss make no sense to calculate it.
Yep. Okay. Because we may not be using the zone anyway, I suppose.
What colors here?
So there's my multiples. So there's 1 times, 2 times, 3 times.
Okay, and which departure we had right before we come back to the zone on wider?
On this time frame?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have three times on our departure. However, what I think you're saying, Toby, is this is problematic because it's not clear. So if we looked at the clear space between our zone to price action, we don't meet our zone qualifier because of these candles here, meaning we don't meet the departure qualifier for this zone. Is that correct?
No, it's a little bit too complicated. Could you move this a little higher? Then I will go with you step by step. And could you press on your keyboard 2 or 3 times the arrow up, please?
Yes.
And then move it in the middle, please, again, and then I will explain. Arrow.
Of course, I picked a very messy price action to have this discussion with you on this lower time frame.
Well, I want to
Let's go back to the Dow.
What I would like to talk about it is first you choose the preferred version, right? That here, wait, undo. Okay, let's try again. This is a wider, right?
Yes.
So, okay, then step number 1, we were talking about departure. That means we check this size here, okay? And that is a 1, that is a 2, that is a 3 here. Perfect. And then let's check. We got this candle here as our leg out. Perfect. Then a next leg out. We hit the 1 hour mark, and then we hit also close to a 2 hours mark, right?
Yes.
And then we got a drop.
Retracement.
Yes, a retracement correctly into our wider version. Is correct?
Yes.
And then we got another rally. That means our departure is a 2-to-1. Okay. And we filled already institutional unfilled orders on the wider version here on daily. That is important to know. It is not completely fresh, right? Filled already. It means it is impossible that your zone is a 10 of a 10. Not fresh manual,
Yes.
you're absolutely right, but it is possible for us to trade also a zone they are not fresh anymore. That's the reason why we have the 25% rule, right? That means it is not, this setup is still valid, right? But I want to talk about that is trading, that is cherry picking, right? We don't want to be looking for quality. It is important that all of you guys understand that this setup is not bad, but it is definitely not, the zone is not the best of the best. We fill definitely uninstitutional, unfilled buying orders here in the wider version zone. You expecting now that there are more orders into the preferred version. That's absolutely fine. By the way, nobody knows. Okay, but that's fine. The departure here, and that is my answer, is a 2-to-1. And then we come already back, and then we got another rally. To be honest, I would already, unfortunately, we not bought it already, right? Could you imagine if you're already filled, you bought the wider version, for example, okay? You're filled here, and then you're here in a nice rally. Would you buy again here? And it's not right or wrong, I'm asking, okay? Would you buy here again into the preferred version if you took already the first trade on the wider version and you're on profits here? Would you buy there again?
Are you still holding the long, or have you sold it and looking for re-entry?
Okay, you would buy here again, yeah? On preferred then?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
It's okay. That's fine. Okay, then we can continue with a departure of 2-to-1. It is okay for you?
Yep.
Okay, we have a zone that is tested already on wider. You want to trade this still, right? It's also right?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's the way, right? For trading, we are collecting informations, right? Some good information, some bad information, some neutral information. Okay, now we know a little bit more about your setup here. Next question is, should we take this zone here, or should we go a little bit lower? Maybe there are other zones.
Yes. So if we go down a little bit further, we have a drop base rally, a rally base rally, and then we've got also a rally base rally and a drop base rally. So there's quite a lot of demand zones that sit rather close to our currently selected zone at the moment.
Okay, this is not important, right? We have to follow the same rules here. Where is our next leg out? Where are high quality demands? And the only demand zone is here and here, right? That's important for us, right? I highly recommend to highlight these zones, right? Always up to 1 or 3 zones. Highlight these zones. And then could you highlight this, please? Also with proximal and distal line.
Oh, yep. So Fibonacci.
It's easier
no
to.
problems. Yep. Yeah. And I'll get rid of the stop loss and location.
Who needs a stop loss? Huh? It's not location. It's not location in the zone refinement, my friend.
Yes. That's right. No, it's just the default. It is default. Right.
Good. And now look, you identified now 1, 2, 3 quality zones, right? Definitely this one here has a better quality, right? That's not tested, right?
Yes.
Okay, that
Whereas
is
this
also
one
high.
was.
This is also high quality, right? Also not tested. This one is a low quality. Okay, the reason it is already tested. Okay, and departure is also right, not the best, right? That is information from zone refinement, correct?
Yep.
Next step is, okay, we have to check
level
this.
on level.
No. First, we can talk about this. It's a next step. Let's talk now about coverage. These are all the zones are covered with your higher time frame or not? Check this.
So we're 360 through to 400. If we go back to the chart on the weekly.
No zones are covered, right?
No, we're down here.
Yes.
No coverage.
That is trading, guys. Huh? It's trading. A lot of work for nothing. but look, that is the reason, Tim, why I told you, please don't work with the lines. Now, look, if you work with the lines, right, with the higher time frame line, you would definitely try to find something into this area. But without this information, you know there is no quality zone on daily in your weekly zone, right? That is very important. There's not a high quality demand zone for you here.
No.
Yeah. That is important.
So question.
Yes, please.
Does that make the trading on the weekly time frame less valid, or simply that there's no point refining any further on the lower time frames for this long position? So in other words, if there is no quality daily, the lower time frame demand, does that make you feel less confident about using this as a demand zone on the weekly time frame for this trade idea?
Yeah, I understand. The question for me is, should I answer how to answer this here, because it's a beginner breakout room, you know. It is. I was always to think about my answers here, because there are some advanced traders here, some beginners, right? I can't talk about the advanced stuff. Then you'll forget everything in the blueprint, for example. In this case, again, information. That is, we have a high quality weekly demand. On the lower time frame, there is nothing on the daily. Okay. That means daily is absolutely not the best time frame to refine our weekly. We can stay with our weekly, that is fine. Um,
Because
but
if we use the same zone qualifiers on the weekly, they meet the test, right? The freshness, we haven't entered the zone on the weekly. The departure, we've got 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4
yes,
to
that's
1.
amazing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the departure test is fine. If I look at originality, now I'm looking to the left for entry. This is a supply zone. So it would also, originality, yes, and also a flip. So if am I following the right train of thought here, Toby? Just say, okay, well, I can't find daily demand, but if I assess the weekly on its own merits and apply the same zone qualifiers, would we not say that this is a very high quality zone on the weekly on the basis of departure, base candles, freshness, originality?
It is a quality zone. Yeah. It's a high
Yes.
quality zone, right?
Yes. So,
exactly.
So to answer my original question, perhaps within the context of our discussion, our beginner background room today, this is a very high quality area that would make us feel comfortable entering the trade on this time frame,
Yeah,
given our zone qualifiers.
Yeah, we could take another time frame, right? It is not weekly, daily, right? These are hard rules, monthly to
No,
weekly.
higher time frame, lower time frame.
We could
Yes.
also go. We could also check the 240, right? We could also
240,
check.
yep.
Right, that's idea. Should necessary to refine again, right? Maybe not, right? We talked already about it. The weekly is not really necessary to refine, but in this case, of course, we have to.
It was like a time machine of going back to 2021. What was I doing in 2021? 21. No, still going. See how choppy it is. It gaps.
You can, yeah, that is. You can
bigger than equities.
You have iOS, you have an Apple, right? Apple.
Yeah, so I'm doing this on Windows inside Apple, and it's not very happy about it.
Yeah, I know. That's the reason why.
Is there any way of scrolling left or right, but sort of skip scrolling instead of sort of one candle at a time, left or right? There's a good beginner question for you.
I can do this quicker. Look, you can. Do you have the? I don't know. That is a keyboard from Apple. You can lift the Shift button. Press and hold the Shift and then scroll. That's not working for you, huh?
Let me try Control. Command, no.
Oh, be careful, because it's already. It's not working on your keyboard, maybe. I don't know. Maybe for trading, it makes sense to have
I'll work it out.
Windows.
Well, that's what I'm just assessing. Yeah, that's what I'm assessing. So I just thought I'd get through the educational material. And if I understand it and feel confident in my ability to execute, then yeah, I mean, it's just a business cost, isn't it? You just go and get another computer, who cares? The email inbox is still full, regardless of it being Windows or Macintosh. So this is the 240 timeline, I believe. Now we're looking
could you? That looks a little bit different now. We can see your desktop and your.
Oh yes, sorry.
Yes, no, that's good. That's good.
So I'm going to get rid of the horizontals. I know, sorry, it's still sitting here from an earlier analysis session.
Always the same.
So this here on the 240, I believe, Toby, would have been all of that sideways action on the daily. That was pretty horrible.
Yes. Let me check very quick. Because we have only 3 minutes. Here is nothing to this point. There's no high quality demand. That means we are definitely again too low, right? To 336. We're looking for 400 areas.
Yeah.
It means here is nothing. It is impossible to refine your zone. It's a summary to refine your zone on the daily or 240. You can definitely go with a weekly. That is possible. Could you go back to the daily, please? Very quick. I would double check. Yeah, please. I want to double check something. And let me check your zone. Where's your zone? This one. Mm, okay. If you want, okay, then we're done here. Okay, that is a
Yes.
summary is you can the summary is you can take the weekly chart to buy here. Okay, that is my official answer here. Is the seasonality also good? We never checked the seasonality.
Yep, I've got that here. I can bring that up. And just move back to current time. 3 years of everyone's life gone. So our seasonality, I'll just remove these vertical lines. We're here currently, and we are expecting some sideways action for quite a period of time. I don't think, if I just put the seasonality onto the price chart, let's see if that just helps a little bit. Do you go left axis or same axis, Toby?
Oh, that's always tricky. I have to check this always. Always the same. I think I have this in the. I'm working with a line chart. Yes, I remember. I have no answer here for that. You have to try.
Okay, let's try. We're experimenting together.
Yes, for me it is the same always.
Now we've got the wrong result, haven't we? Or no, that looks correct. But I guess the question here is seasonality fairly accurate? If we look at our pivots,
absolutely good. Huh?
It's not too bad, is it?
That's fine. Yeah, look at this nice buying points. Use a vertical line, please.
Yes.
For the current date, then we can check where we are.
So we're sitting
okay,
there
now
at the moment.
Hit your buying point. Where's your buying point? And also use a vertical line for it. Sorry,
on the seasonality. Yeah,
yes, please.
Sorry, I misunderstood you.
Okay, great. That means we have definitely to wait, right, for this buying point, and then we have check where we are. It is not really smart to set something, right? Because remember, you identified the weekly demand, okay? Weekly demand, and of course you can set it, right? It is not wrong. Nothing is wrong. You can set this one, but make it sense with the information that you have on daily lower demand zones. It is possible, right, that we come back to the daily. Not weekly is not the only right time frame. Maybe we will hit the daily zone lower, right? They are not covered on the weekly. Then it is a time frame. It is a trade of a daily, right? I would highly recommend to check where we are on this date, and maybe we are in one of your daily zones, and then you can enter. That is my answer here for that. Or if we are on the buying point in your weekly, of course you can try. That is my answer. Yeah.
If I'll ask you with Toby, does that mean? Tell me if this is too advanced. But if you found your entry was triggered before seasonality, would that mean you might be more aggressive with your trade management?
Or you would never take this trade
until we reach our seasonality point?
Possible, yes. It's also not right or wrong. For me, to be honest, I have now the information that we have multiple daily zones below the weekly, right? It means for me, I would not buy the weekly without supply. Definitely not.
Yep.
But also not with aggressive trade management. Absolutely not. I will definitely check where we are on this point. If we are in the weekly with seasonality, okay, great. Should we break this one already and we are in one of your three demand zones, I will take one of your three demand zones, or I will include everything, right? All the three levels into one big level.
Yes.
That's also fine. Or only the two lowest, right? Also possible.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the idea. Okay. Unfortunately, he is also a little bit more what we can talk about it, but it is already an hour. And sorry for who wants to practice manual, right? Meta. Mita, I unfortunately we could talk about this. If you want, what was it? Sorry, I forgot the name. Manuel, if you want, you can share your screenshots below my future script today, and I will check your, because Friday is always a freestyle future session. I will check your drawings, okay, or hopefully it is a location in my future script, and you will get an answer in my future script tomorrow. Okay, it is a deal.
I apologize for being a little bit slower for navigating, Manuel, and consuming the
Yeah.
time.
No,
It's
that is.
also, it seems to be a fairly tricky, not tricky, but there's quite a lot going on in this corn trade at the lower time frames that may not exist in other trades.
All of that, it is absolutely fine, right? All of us, we need a lot of time to practice with that, and especially with me, I'm a trader, I'm a mentor. I have not really answers, I have only questions, okay? And I'm expecting answers from your side. That's the reason why it needs a lot of time, but that's my style of mentoring. I ask you and I need answers from your side. That's the reason why it needs so much time. It is, I have some general question. Is it okay to send you in the chat? Okay, let's go. Let's go, Tashas. All the questions. We have 6 minutes. we make I make a little bit.
I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you, Toby. So I think the areas we learnt is, just to quickly recap my findings, don't draw horizontal lines from the higher time frame to lower time frame because it will create a bias. Was my takeaway. Always look at if you can get a trade on the weekly, take the weekly, but understand the daily, the lower time frames that exist underneath it when making that decision. And in this case, we really want to line up our entry with the seasonality, and not place an open limit order. Instead, wait for price to approach those daily demand zones to look to execute a trade if everything is still lining up at that point.
That sounds good, but again, this is my style, right? If you agree with it and makes sense for you, then I'm happy. If not, if you're saying, okay, I would take the weekly without the seasonality, it's not wrong, but maybe
Yes.
it makes sense for you what we talked about it, right? Then follow it. It's absolutely right. Yeah, good.
Great. Thank you, Toby.
Most welcome, and thank you for sharing. It was, I think, a good practice for all the students here and also helpful for the students that watch the recording. Great. Thank you. Let's wait for Tasha's questions. Yes, let's go.
Yes. Yes, it was a great practice, team. I think we learned good things. So, Toby, I have finished the blueprint course, and now I have been watching Futures OTC. I believe that I am a little bit more confused.
Okay.
Yes. I want my next steps to trade in a demo account so that I can learn and practice the strategies and all this. So I have been watching the futures course, but I have questions about the adjusted, the unadjusted charts.
Why?
I don't know. In a lesson, Bernd says that we trade futures only in TradeStation. So
Yeah, we are
this is
talking, Ashos, we're
yes.
talking about the real futures. If you want to trade
Okay.
real futures, I think you will not trade real futures. I recommend a 100K account, and I'm not talking about a funded account, okay? Only prop firms. We're talking about real 100K. I think you guys will not trade futures here. You will trade the CFD. Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So Bernd is not talking about CFDs in the futures course, right?
About what?
Is he talking about the CFDs in the futures course, or he's
that's
talking about
yes, that's the reason why this is a futures course, the real futures course. If you want to trade real futures or to analyze real futures, that is the course. Yeah.
Okay. So what about CFDs? What about CFDs? Is there another course on that?
Oh, no, you
or
don't
not?
need that is not really another course. It is not different. You will trade the CFD that is the future, but not real, right? Do you know what the CFD means?
Yes, contracts for difference.
Yes, and you know, okay, then you understand what it is, right? You will trade the CFDs only. That means you can trade the CFDs with the knowledge of a blueprint. I recommend, if you want to trade the CFDs, they're not special informations, right? It is only important that you know that you're trading CFDs. Go to the grid section, and I added also on the 7th of February, executing a trade with spread. That is very important for you to trade CFDs, okay? Because you have a spread. But then if you watch this and you understood also the blueprint, including campus indicators, you can start to trade. It means future CFDs, right? It means Forex pairs, absolutely fine.
Okay, where did you say that you uploaded something?
That
In
is
which
go in the
section?
not in the class, go to the grid section,
Okay, okay,
and then
okay,
you will see the 7th of February, right? Execution with a spread.
okay, okay, fine.
Roger, that's helpfully, but then it's not a big deal. Okay, that's not a big
Okay,
deal. Trade the FTs.
okay, okay.
Anything else for you?
No, I believe at the moment I'm fine. I'll check this also, and maybe next time I'll have some more questions.
Of course, and you can also practice. You guys can also show me trades. That's fine. Let me check the chat. Thank you all for the participating in my first end-to-end analysis. That was good, Tim. Hope you had a takeaway that will help you. Oh yeah, I think yes. Toby, is your data issue resolved? I'm enjoying the topic-based grid reviews. And oh yeah, yes, it is. It is solved. Today I talked already about futures again. Sometimes they get a little bit more videos of they are helpful, right? With the spread, for example. Also, the other was trade management. That's very important. From time to time, I will add also these sessions instead of futures grid. Okay, especially Fridays. It's always a freestyle session. Good. Okay, guys, then that's it. Over time, 10 minutes. Thank you again for joining. That was definitely one of the best beginner breakout room sessions here we had. Great. Have a good one, guys. See you tomorrow in the Forex and Futures grid. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye bye, Tobias.
Bye.